Hi, my name is Taylor. I am the solo developer and composer of my game SLACKJAW. It is available on Steam. It came out August 8th, 2025, so a couple months ago if you're watching this video fresh. My music for the game, the soundtrack, has also been nominated for the Horror Game Awards for Best Soundtrack. So I'll put a link in the description, but if you would like to vote for it, that would be greatly appreciated. I believe it's determined by jury, but the votes help. So if you want to give it a vote and enjoy the music, that would be great. So what we're going to do today is go through my entire process of writing this song. I've got the lyrics, I've got the chords, I've got the production file, I've got the sheet music down here. And I'm just going to take you through my entire step-by-step of kind of how I wrote this song. And I'm not going to assume that musicians are watching this, that you're a musician if you're watching this. So I'm going to keep things kind of at a big level overview, but I will go into some detail with the sheet music, so hopefully the musicians will enjoy that. But if you don't know anything about music, you can totally watch this video and hopefully find some interesting things about how the sausage is made. So let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so the first thing I want to do is actually talk about the inception of this song. Now this song, I've been writing music for, possibly 8+ years. We're getting close to 10. And usually I write music for clients' games. And I love writing songs with lyrics as well. So my sister has performed some of them, and she's the performer of this song as well. And so I really wanted, okay, is there a way I can get a song in this game? It's kind of how it started. And then I was thinking that, that would be fun if the killer was listening to a record above you. That kind of added to the tension. And so I thought playing an oldie, a jazz oldie, would be really fun. And I kind of wanted the song to add tension to the game because I wanted it to be very beautiful and like a relaxing love song, but the lyrics can also be interpreted as kind of the killer's manifesto of how obsessed with you he is. Because if you're unaware of the plot of the game, you've been kidnapped by a serial killer, and it's like an escape room. You have to escape the basement, but he's above you. And so that's the plot reason for the song and kind of how it functions in the sound design of the game world. And yeah, I just really love songwriting. And so I've never written an oldie before, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to give that a try. So first I started with some references. So I put together this reference playlist. I'm not going to play these for YouTube copyright reasons, but you can look them up. Most of them you've probably heard. You've probably heard Put Your Head on My Shoulder. You've probably heard We Belong Together. So I was just looking at how did the pros do it, because whenever I'm approaching music of a genre I'm not that familiar with, I like to do a lot of research first. Like what is the harmonic language they're using? What is the structure they're using? Like what makes it that style of song? Now, I have played in jazz band. I'm a percussionist, so I played vibraphone and bass in jazz bands before, but I haven't really written much things that are jazzy, and especially not something with lyrics that was also jazzy. So I really wanted to study these and look at what types of chords are they using? What are the types of chord progressions they're using? And if you don't know what that means, it's basically what is the order of the chords and how do the chords relate to each other? That's the best way to think of it. Like, how do the chords relate to each other and to the one chord, to your center of your whatever key you're in? So you can see, I like to put together these kind of sheets when I'm working on a piece that's going to be quite a feat, which this one was. I wrote this one over the course of like a whole year, I think, just off and on, kind of coming back to it. But here's my playlist, and here's one of the songs from it. So I looked at the structure, I looked at what are the chords, what is the progression, that's what these Roman numerals are, is the relationship of the chords to each other, while this is what the chords actually are. Everybody Loves Somebody. That one has a really great string opening, which I also did in I've Been Watching You. So I really liked that part. But just kind of looking at what types of chords are they using. They're using a lot of dominant 7 chords. They're using some diminished chords, I think, were in some of these. So Put Your Head on My Shoulder, right? So I was just kind of doing some analysis. Then I was looking at what do I want to put in the song. For example, the structure of these is very important. There's always an A and a B section, a bright A and a dark B section. There's not really a bridge. You'll see I kind of did my own version of a bridge, but it's not structured like a typical pop song would be: verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. So these oldies, these, late 50s, early 60s songs are kind of A, B, A, B, A, end. Okay, so that's another example like of what I learned from my study of these references is like, okay, I definitely need that structure if I want to emulate that sound. Because my goal was to make this sound like it was a pre-existing song, right? Like it was something I licensed or something that already existed to the best of my ability, So basically then I sat down at the piano and started playing some chords. And I put it in B flat major. That was a good key for my sister to sing in. And started working on some melody. Da 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 da. Right? I came up with that. And then would just hum it and try different words with it, with the chords. I really mostly worked on the chords and the melody first. So to come up with the lyrics here, I like to do a lyric dump. This is also what I suggest that my students do. And it's a really nice way to just be like, okay, no wrong answers. What are any words or key phrases that I think would fit with this song? Okay, because sometimes it can feel a little bit cringe or embarrassing to write lyrics. So this is like a really good way to get over that. Just be like, okay, I'm just going to put everything down, no wrong answers. All right. So you can see there's a lot of things that didn't make the cut. We have 2 peas in a pod, lovebirds, sweetheart, I wish I could hold you near, dear, disappear, right? I was trying out some rhymes. Wish you could take me away from here. You know that my love is real. You know that my love is true. That ended up in apple of my eye, hold me close and never let me go. My love for you is like a guiding star. Again, that made it in. I'll find you wherever you are, trying out some rhymes, right? You can't do anything but be in love with me because baby, there's only you. We're a perfect pair of two. Again, trying out rhymes that didn't make it in the song. Okay. So then I think I actually ended with what I put as the opening lines, which is, I've been watching you for some time. I recognize that lonely look in your eyes. I just really liked that. I liked the slant rhyme of the vowel rhyme of time and eyes. And I like I recognize that lonely look in your eyes, which is like, he's thinking she's lone, like he's interpreting so much from her, maybe just staring out a window. So I thought, like, he feels they're kindred spirits just from how she's looking out a window or, you know, wherever she is. So that's where it started. And then I started putting things together. Okay. So verse 1, or I'll just call it A section 1, because that's really like a better term for it. But it's, I've been watching you for some time. I recognize that lonely look in your eyes. Those two rhyme. Although we haven't even met yet rhymes, right? And met is that long held note. I know that you feel it too. I know that our love is true. Those two rhyme. So I thought this was a good way to set up the scenario that he's stalking her and that they haven't even met, but he knows that they're meant to be. So again, it's like a cute love song, but from this, I mean, the killer likes this song, right? He's the one putting it on a loop above you. So from the killer's perspective, he's like, this is a great song, but it's supposed to be very creepy to you as well and be like, uh-oh, what's going to happen to me? So what you'll notice maybe right off the bat is that this is 5 phrases long, which is quite unusual for a song. Usually phrases are 4 lines long, and that's because we as humans really like even things. We really like 4/4. We really like 4 phrases. So I just could not fit it into 4 phrases. It just seemed really strange. So I put the climax of the melody in this line, and then resolving it in this line just seemed like not enough time. So sometimes you can kind of theory yourself until you're blue in the face, and then sometimes it's like, oh, this just sounded right. So it's kind of that combo of like, I'm using the theory to come up with all these chords and how this thing is going to be structured, but also I just like that it has 5 phrases. It just sounds right. So if we look at these phrases here, actually I'm kind of going into talking about the melody. I want how I wrote the chords, great. If we look at these phrases, we have I've been watching you for some time, some half-step movement. Okay, that was another thing I noticed from these songs, is a lot of half-step movement in the melody, which really gave it the kind of jazzy feel to it, because you're kind of accentuating some of these diminished chords, and it just gives it a nice, again, a nice jazzy kind of feel to it. So here's more half steps. That lonely look, right? These are 2 half steps here. Again, excuse my singing. I'm not the singer. My sister ended up singing this. So we'll look at her vocals once we get in the production. Look in your eyes, in your eyes. That's half step movement right there. And then this met yet is the climax. And by that I mean, like, usually melodies in the 3rd phrase have like the highest point, the point where it's ascended the most. And then the 4th phrase kind of descends, kind of like how we speak. You'll say, this is a sentence, and you'll kind of have a downturn to it. So melodies do that as well. So that should have been here, but I liked having more tension with this diminished chord here and then resolving it in the last phrase. Okay. So let's just listen to the melody before we look at these chords. Let's just stick with this for a second. We'll come back to that. But let's hear MuseScore play it, just the piano version. There's the climax right there. So you can see it has 5 phrases and that it works well because I have the climax, then I keep tension here in the 4th phrase with this diminished triad, and then resolve it back to 1 in the final phrase. So let's return here to this lyric page. So let's continue talking about the lyrics, and then I'll jump into the chords more. But the B section goes, when you brushed my hand on the subway, the sparks, they couldn't be denied. My love for you is like a guiding star. I'll find you wherever you are. So again, this is now back to 4 phrases. Subway and denied don't rhyme, but star and RR, so R do, so you don't have to rhyme, everything. But I liked this because it was like, again, something so innocuous, like I was thinking maybe they're both holding the bar of a subway and their hands just brush like a stranger, and then he's interpreting like all this stuff from it and she just didn't notice, and so that he's gonna find her wherever they are, right? So then we continue. I see in your eyes what your lips long to say, they're begging me to take you away. That was a really tough one. At first it was, you've been yearning for my touch. I just thought yearning was a too extreme word. Your eyes tell me what your lips long to say, because I kind of like that again. He's interpreting a lot from little gestures. I liked that aspect to kind of get the stalking across that he does. So I see in your eyes what your lips long to say is like, maybe again, she's just looking, not even at him, just looking out a window, just looking at something else. And he's like interpreting, she wants me to take her just from her look. And then I like, don't say you don't want me, baby. We'll be so happy you'll see. So it's like, don't say no. Like, trust me, we're going to be great together. Because I interpret him when I was developing him that he's like genuinely delusional. Like he genuinely thinks like, oh, well, why wouldn't they love me if I kept them in my basement? like he's just totally lost the plot. And this is another one. When they ask us how do we meet, I'll say I swept you right off your feet. I liked that a lot. Meet and feet, and then day and way. So again, I didn't even keep the same rhyme scheme between the two B sections, but that's okay. I just liked how it sounded. I know you can see me now clear as day. You with me, there's no other way. Okay, so again, that's like we're meant to be. So this is kind of interesting. Verse or A section 3 is what I ended up being kind of the bridge, and we'll look at that in the production part. But this had a totally different version for a long time. It was this. In my dreams, I see you every night. I see you clear in the glow of moonlight. I'm holding you in my arms tight. I'll never let you go, and you'll never leave me, I know. Now, this, I just thought it was kind of weak. I think it kind of just restated what I had already said, which is that like he dreams of her and he wants to keep her forever. And so I turned it into we'll grow old together, you and I, forever and ever. Like he's going to keep her forever. I felt like that was missing from the other version. Don't you see, baby, it's meant to be. We can't escape its fate. So honey, how about a date? And I liked that could lead into the final section, which is a recap of the first one. I've been watching you for some time. I recognize that lonely look in your eyes. So I thought this did a better job of showing what I wanted to say, which is that he's going to keep her forever and that he thinks they're bound by fate. Like, again, he's kind of delusional here. And then also, this just didn't fit that great in the melody. In my dreams, I see you every night. I see you clear in the glow of moonlight. I'm holding you in my arms tight. You know what I mean? It just didn't fit. It didn't fit what I already decided the melody was going to be quite that well, like this, how the syllables sat. That's another big part of like setting text to melody is like, how do the syllables fit? And which ones are you holding? Like usually it's nice to hold a vowel. Like met, you're holding the eh. So it's just more natural than trying to hold, So there is you're weirdly kind of imitating speech. Like you still want the way the syllables are falling to be how you would say the word. So it just wasn't fitting very well over the melody. And then we end it with, I've been watching you for some time. I recognize the lonely look in your eyes, that A section again. So if we check out the melody of this guy back in MuseScore. MuseScore is a free notation program. This is the next step I did, which is I wrote it before I even put it in the production software we're going to look at. I just wrote it in this so that I could play with the chords and the melody. So this is the melody written out. Those are the chords. So if we look at where was I going here? Oh, the B section here. Again, I'm ending on an augmented chord, which is 2 major thirds stacked on top of each other. It's very spicy. It adds a lot of tension. We'll look at the chords. I'm getting ahead of myself. But again, we build up to a climax. There it is, the highest note. Then it descends. Right? So this was a very complicated song to write, but it is following a lot of conventions, so it's not a total reinvention of the wheel here, but it's just using the techniques in a new way that I learned from the references. So I think the other thing I wanted to say, actually I think we're probably good here for looking at the lyrics. Let's pull them up one more time. But yeah, that's how I wrote them. I went through a lot of different versions, but basically, if you're writing a song, I'd advise just get something down, and you can always change it. You know, you can always, it's not like set in stone, it's on a computer, you know. So you can always change it. So just put in something. Again, this was that section for a really long time until towards the end when I totally rewrote it. So, you know, it's fine to just have placeholders there for a while. Okay, let's take a break and then I will return with some chords. All right, we're going glasses on for chord time. So let's look at the PDF because I wrote out the chords here, the Roman numerals. So I color coded them. The orange chords are major. The blue is minor. Dominant is a 7th chord where the 7th is down a half step from a normal major 7th chord for you classical musicians out there. Diminished is in the purple here, that's 2 minor thirds stacked on top of each other, and augmented is 2 major thirds stacked on top of each other. That's the yellow, which is used there at the end. So you can see already I've got quite a combo of these types of chords. So we can see that the intro, to start off, this is what the strings end up playing, and this ends on the 1 chord, so we don't even start on 1 because again I wanted it to function as an intro, like it's leading you into the song, it's going to lead us into 1. So basically start with a minor 2 chord, some more minors, then we only get to a 1-4-1 here at the end, and then in from a 5-1, which is a very typical cadence. It's a very typical ending for a progression. So let's hear what that sounds like as the piano version. So I think it just sets us up really nice for being in B flat major. So we can arrive to the 1 chord, we're ready for the singing to start. So again, the chords are chosen because of how it functions structurally. Like I wanted it to be an intro. Okay, now let's take a look at how the lyrics fit over this. So you'll notice I've done these little red marks to break it into phrases. Oh, I see I'm covered by my face. Hang on. There we go. That's much better. And then, okay, great. So, okay, let me just make it a little bigger for you. Great. Okay. So if we look at the phrases here, you'll see that I've been watching you for some time. Starts on 1 and ends on a dominant chord here. Dominant G7. Then the other phrases start on minor. Okay, all the other phrases either start on a minor 2-7 or a minor 3-7. Same thing here. Okay, and then they all end on a dominant chord. So again, starting dark, ending it bright, ending with some nice little tension. These major 7 chords are very, very jazzy. So let's just hear it. Yeah, there we go, you know. And then I think some of the other songs did that too, where they started the phrase on a minor chord, which I just think's really added some nice dark color to it. So yeah, here is the chord progression, and then you can see I have some diminished chords sprinkled in here. This is out of, and then I underlined what's out of the key. So you can see there's a couple things out of the key. And they're usually approached from a half step. That's also a really easy way to get some tension in and kind of like resolve it really nicely. So the B half diminished 7 would be B, D, F, and A. And then if you just add a G on the bottom, that's just G major dominant. So again, some of the chords are kind of related, and then you just add 1 note to create a different chord. So that's a sneaky way to get in some crunch or tension or kind of a weird sounding chord, because these diminished are weird. I mean, that's got some crunch to it. So that's a good way to sneak them in without them being too disruptive, right? Because you don't want it to sound like notes are wrong. So this is how the A sections function. And then they resolve with a nice 5-1, 4-1. And again, we got a lot of dominant chords in here. That's the green. And again, that's that lowered seventh. And then we go to the relative minor. We go to G minor. And this one, I liked that we weren't starting on the one chord. We were going to it at the end of the phrase. When you brush my hand on the subway, the sparks, they couldn't be denied. So you can see this is all dominant and a minor. There's no major anywhere except for the end. This was some nice half-step movement bass line that I wanted. Again, if we go back to what I was talking about having a climax phrase, that would be this one. My love for you is like a guiding star. And so we're moving up with this half-step bass line to end on this spicy, fully diminished C sharp chord, which is out of the key, right? Because I'm in B flat. So, and then so again, that's where I put a lot of, the harmonic duration is shorter, right? So here the chords are lasting about a measure, okay? Here they're lasting half a bar. So again, we're pushing that movement forward, and it's purposefully on that third phrase to give it some push forward to that held note, guiding star. Then we come down here, end on I liked ending on the augmented because it kind of leaves you like, ooh, what's going to happen next? And then F augmented. F is the 5 of B flat. So that kind of a sneaky gets you a little 5-1. I know it's not major, but it gives you a little 5-1 back to the B flat so that it can loop. You know what I mean? So I always try to make a progression be able to loop into its next section or to itself. So I know I went kind of fast. Perhaps I will upload this if anyone would like to look at some of these screenshots, or I guess you can just revisit this video. So I'll just stop moving it for a second, but there you go. So that's the harmonic analysis, kind of, again, more of a broad overview of how these chords are working. So let's hear the piano version play it before we move on, just so we can see it we can kind of hear those chords without the instrumentation. So do you see how much tension that augmented ends on? And then also how much movement all this half step, again, half step bass line is not a new thing, right? Very jazz standard kind of thing to do. So let's hear just that phrase again. So again, it's a lot of combination of theoretically how do these chords work, but then also do they sound correct based on, and then how do I know they're correct? I've listened to those references and kind of submerged my ears in the harmonic language of these oldies, right? So that I can kind of know how it's supposed to sound, so that it sounds correct, right? So it's like, yeah, there's no right or wrong answers, but since I'm trying to get a specific vibe, you know, I really wanted to be careful with how the progression went. So this progression, this is probably one of the most complicated things I've written, just because, again, you're trying to add tension. And by that, I mean these diminished chords, these weird chords that aren't so harmonious. They're not as nice as a major chord. And sneaking them in a way so that they're lined up with the melody where you want that tension, and then they can resolve really nicely too. So that, I think, might be a good, I mean, you know, again, we could go deeper into all of this stuff, but I'm trying to get through all the parts talking about the song, and I want to get to the production. But let me do another break, and then we'll come back for the rhythm, and then production. I think we're getting there. All right, so rhythm time. Let's talk a little bit about the rhythm. This should be a short section. I see, you know, famous last words. But let's talk a little bit about it because I am a percussionist. I love rhythm. That's my favorite thing ever. So we're in 6/8, okay? And 6/8, if you're unaware, how do I put this? It's 6/8 notes per measure, but it's usually felt in two groups of three. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, I shouldn't hum it because on YouTube. But there's a lot of songs that gives it kind of a lilt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's why, again, my musicians will see I have the beat as a dotted quarter. That's counts for 3/8 notes. So basically it's got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, which again is different than a waltz, which is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's almost like two. You have, you know, two groups of three. So what's interesting about that? Let me see. What's interesting about that is basically I've got some polyrhythms in here. So if we look at this measure where we have three notes, three even quarter notes, it's being played over two dotted quarters. So it's doing like I don't know if that's coming through on there, but 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So it's 3/2 evenly. That's an example of a polyrhythm. So I think that gives it a little extra emphasis on those parts. So if we look at that, for example, let me turn on the click so you can hear where the 2 is. You see what I'm saying? So you can see everything else is kind of following this two group of three idea. Except for I know that you feel it. Okay? This we can see this has got that polyrhythm in it, okay? It's 3 notes over 2 beats, if you want to think of it that way. So again, that draws emphasis on know that you feel it. Feel it is also a polyrhythm, even though we have a rest in that last one. It's got the first 2. So let's see if we can hear the difference there. Do you hear how we have know that you feel it, and then it 2. So da 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 da. Know that you feel it. Know that you feel it. It puts more emphasis on it versus know that you feel it or know that you feel it. You know what I mean? If it was in those groups of 3. So sorry for hopefully the non-musicians are also understanding what I'm saying, but I just wanted to draw attention to that because I love polyrhythms, and I think it works nicely again because it's on this last, after the climax, on this last 2 phrases of the piece, so of the section. So let's take a look again. So So you can see in the B section there aren't polyrhythms. So here's an example where, see, it's just 2 dotted quarters versus 3 quarter notes. That's what I'm trying to call out the difference of. Besides that, my rhythmic language is pretty simple. We just have eighth notes and then some held notes, and then again that polyrhythm on the know that you feel it. I don't think we've got anything else that particular, but I just wanted to draw attention to that. And yeah, I decided on 6/8 because again, I think some of the references were in 6/8, and I think it just gave it that kind of off-kilter lilt that makes it seem not so steady. When you have a kind of uneven grouping like this versus 4/4 is very steady. That's why a lot of, again, pop songs and rock songs are in 4/4 because they're like, you're feeling where the beat is. So this is like, has a little bit more of a dance to it. So that's what I wanted to say about the rhythm. And then I think next will be production. So we're moving along. Here we are, it's production time. So if we've been following along so far, we've looked at the composition, we looked at the inception of it, the melody, the chords, the sheet music, the lyrics, and the rhythm. So now we're gonna look at how did that composition, because we saw it as a piano version, become a fully produced track. Also, if you want, real quick, if you want to look at the sheet music, I have it for sale on my Bandcamp. If you want that whole sheet music, that's there. I'll put the link in the description as well. So this is Cubase. Cubase is a DAW. That stands for Digital Audio Workstation. It is music production software. Other common DAWs would be Ableton, Logic, Pro Tools, FL Studios, Reaper. Okay, so you've probably seen these around if you are looking at music production. So I'm gonna take you through my project file and we're gonna see what I did. And yeah, I fully produced it and mixed it myself. So no one else touched this. Here are my sister's vocals in here. And that is pretty common for indie games. So next time you listen to an indie soundtrack, unless it had a big budget, they produced it themselves. So yeah, let's just get into it. So the first thing that's interesting is these are all virtual instruments, okay? So the only live recordings are my sister's vocals here. So what is a virtual instrument if you're unaware? Let's take a peek. If it loads, there it is. So here is the piano I used, for example. So basically what a virtual instrument is it is an instrument that I can trigger with my piano. So every single instrument you see here, I played on my electric piano that's plugged into my computer to trigger these sounds, okay? So that's what, I'll just give kind of a brief thing of how this works for you guys who haven't seen this. This is what I played, okay? This is the notes I pressed. This is how long I held them. See how long it is? And this is even how hard I pressed it, okay? You can see they're all pressed a little bit different because I'm a human hand. You know, my fingers all pressed at a little bit different hardness. So that's why it's really important to play in, because you can pencil these in with your mouse. It's very useful to play them in because it gets your natural human error in the instruments to help them sound more realistic. Because like, again, my budget was $0. So unfortunately, I would have loved to hire a drummer or be the drummer. Bass, I don't have a bass. I don't have a drum set. Guitar, I don't know how to play guitar. And I did the piano, of course, but these are all digital instruments, okay? So again, very common. If this is blowing your mind, it blew my mind when I first discovered this too. So there's the guitar. Let's look at him. Okay, so if we look at this, let's look at the guitar here for a second. So let's hear it. So it's not a ghost playing it, right? It's me who played it, and this is what I pressed into my piano. All right, so this is what I played. And then that is triggering the software to play this sound. Okay, So these are called sample libraries. So they're virtual instruments. They're made up of actual real recorded musicians, like playing one note at a time, and you're triggering it. So this is how the sausage is made. Again, would be lovely to have live musicians do all this, but I just did not have the money. So hence myself, which is fine. I think it worked okay. But yes, I'd rather have real musicians play all these, but this is what we did. So let's just deal with the virtual instruments first. So I'll just actually add them in one by one so we can hear the kind of ensemble start. Yeah, that's a good idea. I don't really need to, do I need to loop it? Yeah, let's loop it. Hang on. Let me get in here for a second. Let me just, what do I want to loop? Give me 1 second here. Let's move this here. And let's just loop a little bit, and then we can add them one at a time. Yeah, let's do it that way. Okay, so let's start with the piano. That's a good example of how I press them all different hardnesses because I'm a human, right? So yeah, there you go. Okay, then I'll add guitar. Okay, so that's the core group of musicians, myself. So I did not write these out in sheet music. I don't typically do that because it just would take so long, but I looked at that sheet music lead sheet is what it's called, because that just has the chords and the melody. And then I had this guy play the chords. I decided what inversions I wanted him to play. You know, I played this in, and then I played in, I wanted like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the piano to play the subdivision. Then the bass, I just kind of wanted a smooth moving bass line where it has some held notes and then it moves a little bit, you know. So that's how, so again, played the bass in, you're playing it in a piano, right? This is what I played. And then the drums was really fun because how drums are set up is like each key is a different instrument. So that turned into this. Let's take a look here. So you can hear this is kick, snare, hi-hat, close. Again, I'm trying to keep it realistic so it sounds like a real person, because when you play a real drum set, you only have 4 limbs. So one would press your foot would press the kick drum, your other foot would open or close the hi-hat, and then your left hand would hit the snare drum and your right hand would hit a hi-hat subdivision. Oh, this case, sorry, it's a cymbal. Right, and then they change here. I think it cut out a little bit. Let me play that again. So since I played drum set, bass, and piano, the piano was easy, right? But the drum set and the bass, I was trying to imitate how the real instruments function. So again, how this kind of feel da, 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 cha, cha, cha. Like how if I had a drum set and we're playing this piece as the drummer, how I would actually play the drums. So again, even though they're virtual instruments, I'm trying to keep them as realistic as possible to kind of sell the whole vision that the whole piece is live instruments. Does that make sense? Okay, let's take a look at the strings. We have some strings. Oh, actually, before, let's look at if these guys have any effects on them. Let's take a look at the mixer. Here it is. So here's the piano, guitar, bass, and drum set. They do have some EQ. Basically, I cut out some of the frequencies that I was not that into. Oh, here I boosted the low end of this guy. What is this? Oh, I put a compressor on that guy. And then you can see there's a lot that everyone is going through, okay? Oh, and I'm sending them all to a reverb. You can actually hear the reverb when I stop it. Do you hear how it hanged out? Here's what it would sound like dry. Let's actually take a look at that. Where is that? Do. Where are you going to? This guy. Okay, then let me mute him here. Here he is. Okay. It still seems like it has. I don't know. No, this one just has its own reverb on its virtual instrument. But they're all pretty dead compared to when I put it back on. I hope this is I just turned back on the right one. Are these different? They are. Okay, I think it was this one, but I'll just undo and not save. Okay, so these guys all have reverb going through them. And then what I really like is my favorite plugin, not sponsored, Isotope Vinyl. It's free and it gives it kind of a pitch. It gives the whole thing kind of a pitch warble to it. So the whole thing's like a little bit detuned as if it was recorded on real tape. Which would kind of bend like this. So again, because I'm using virtual instruments, I'm doing everything I can to make them sound as real as possible. So I love doing this. And then you'll see at the bottom here, I have an ambient kind of just white noise background. Because again, if you were recording real musicians in a studio, there would be some room tone is what it's called, but like the air conditioning or like just some kind of white noise. So again, I'm adding everything I know to fake the realism as much as I can. Okay, so let's look at the strings too. Let's check out these guys. Let me still mute the vocals for a second. So again, these are virtual instruments. Let's take a look at these guys. Here they are. So these again, they're all kind of doing different harmony lines. So if we look at them all together, you can see, right, I've done some kind of voice leading orchestration of these strings here. So they're kind of moving in thirds down. You can see the different colors of the different string parts, violin, viola, cello, bass. Okay, so again, played all this in on the keyboard. This one's tricky though. You can see all these weird shapes. This is called CC, or continuous controller data. So basically like trying to make it like they're pressing the bow harder or not. And this is used with a mod wheel that's on my keyboard. So I'm trying to add again, trying to add inflections like a real string player would use, right? So yeah, the amount of poor production nonsense that goes into this is a lot. So again, this might be where you can really hear that vinyl plugin work. It kind of warbles the pitch, like just a little bit. Okay, this is looking good. So that kind of covers a lot of the virtual instruments. let's take a look at the vocals. So this is my lovely sister singing Allegra. And how we did this, is basically recorded various takes which are hidden. There they are. There they are. Okay. So here are some takes of like the lead vocal part, and then basically what I do is take slices of these to make a main vocal comp. There's a really good video somewhere of Billie Eilish talking about her vocal comp of what was the song? Happier Than Ever. How she spliced together a crazy amount of takes because she's a perfectionist, but this is very common. Again, so basically like this is a separate take than this is, and this is a separate take than that is, but I didn't really have to cut that much. I mean, they were all really good takes. It was just like, how did I want her to say a certain inflection, you know? So let's take a look at these guys. I'm gonna go ahead and solo these.
I've been watching you for some time. I recognize that.
So again, a lot of reverb because I think that really fits stylistically with the other references. So here's the main vocal, so I can turn off the reverb. We can see, did I EQ this? Just like one frequency was a little unruly. So let's hear it totally dry.
That lonely look in your eyes, although we haven't even.
So that's what sounds like dry. Again, she used this microphone right here
I've been
and came over and we did it here in my room.
Know that you feel it too.
So there's not really very much vocal processing on this at all. It's just sending to this reverb. There's no pitch correction or anything. There's like a couple notes you can go in and manually move a couple cents higher or lower. I maybe did that like twice. I mean, if you have a good performer, you don't have to do much in post, which is fantastic, right? So if you can get a clean recording, again, with not a lot of background noise, like we made sure it was really quiet here, and have a clear microphone that's like that catches all the dynamic, then you're good to go. So again, my main task with this was cutting the vocals together, the different takes, right? So that took some time. And then we've got some harmonies. Let's check these guys out.
In your eyes, what your lips long to say, take you away.
So what's really nice about this, besides that she sang it really beautifully, is that we have the same high part and then the same low part. This is how I like to do background vocals. So I'll have her do the same part. So that's the same melodic line, okay? And I'll have her do it twice. Now I did not copy paste the take because then they might kind of, they just don't sound quite right together if you use literally the same take because it's like kind of inhuman. So I have her sing it twice. And then I hard pan, where is this? One left and one right to give a stereo width. So one's coming out your left headphone, one's coming out with your right headphone. Right? So that should be your left if you're listening to headphones. That should be your right. That's the high one. Let's hear the low one. They sound great. Oh. One of these was still hot. No bus. Okay.
In your eyes, lips long to say. Take you away. In your eyes, lips long to say. Take you away.
Again, all that's on there is reverb. So.
Baby.
So what's really nice is that you can use it to accentuate text from the main vocal.
In your eyes, what your lips long to say, they're begging me to take you away.
So again, I just kind of heard that melody line and was like, let's do it. And I think she came up with one of these harmonies too. So
So come with me and we can disappear. Don't say you don't want me, baby. He'll be so happy, you'll see. And when they ask us how did we meet, I'll say I swept you right off your feet. I know you can see it now, clear as day.
Again, this sounds so good. This is harmony with the vocal, like they're all doing a chord.
Clear as day.
Then we have
As day. Clear as day. Clear as day. Clear as day. You with me.
okay. Now let's go to the end. We got a lot of shalalas. I think this is where we added a third harmony there at the tippity top. So let's just check these one at a time. Again, I got two of each harmony, stereo left and right, and then I'm doing not them all the same. So you can see the lowest is the furthest out, 70 and 70, 50, 50. So you see what I'm saying? Oh, this is actually the furthest out. So the lead vocal is in the center, and then the harmonies are all panned in they're staggered left and right. Okay, let's take a look one time. Low,
Watching you. Shalala. 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 I know that you feel it.
okay. So she did a great job. I think we knocked this out in a day, maybe 2 days. I mean, she practiced the song before. I sent her a terrible memo of me singing it. But here, hopefully, I will insert her talking a little bit about it.
Hey, I'm Allegra. I'm Taylor's sister and the singer for I've Been Watching You from SLACKJAW. First of all, I just want to say I'm super proud of my sister Taylor for doing this all herself, and more importantly, I'm very thankful for the job. So thank you, Taylor. When Taylor first approached me with the idea of doing like an original old-timey sounding song, I was really excited about it. Those are the kinds of songs that I really enjoy singing along to. We looked at a lot of references, like from Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday. Specifically, we looked a lot at The End of the World, Skeeter Davis. Um, that had a very similar tone and vibrato and inflection on certain words that we wanted to capture. This like kind of sad, haunting, but uplifting sounding song. So I listened to that a lot. And she sent me the final track just a few days before we were going to record. She sent me the lyrics for me to learn, so I went over and memorized the melody and kind of thought about where I wanted to, push certain words or add tone or vibrato or like whisper certain words to make it sound a little creepier. I think the lyrics on their own can be sort of haunting, but they can also be really sweet and lovely, kind of like old-timey love songs were. So wanted to capture that kind of right in the middle sweet spot. Recording didn't take too long. I think it took a few hours. I think we did it in a day, and I looked to Taylor for direction on how she wanted it to sound. If she wanted more inflection on certain words, if she wanted me to have certain words be softer than others. We knew that the song was going to be like playing in the other room, so you weren't going to be able to hear it super crystal clear, and that was kind of the point too. So being really selective about where we pushed the lyrics or where we kind of held back to keep people engaged and to even think like, oh, this sounds like a sweet song, but wait, like that lyric sounds a little deranged. So yeah, I had a lot of fun being a part of this. And yeah, I'm really proud of you, Taylor. And yeah, thanks so much.
Okay, we are back for hopefully the grand finale. So This is the entire song. Okay. There's all the vocal outtakes. Again, not that many takes, okay? Because you don't want to exhaust your vocalist, you know, they can only sing so much. And then the production, mainly, you know, I spent a lot of time fiddling with what presets the instruments and tweaking the settings. So once I got those kind of how I wanted them to sound, and then again, everybody's panned a little bit different because I'm trying to imitate a real rehearsal space, right? So, you know, doing the best you can with what you got, you know? So, and not that many plugins. Let's take a look. I mean, we've got some EQs, some compression, and the vinyl is doing a lot. A limiter. I mean, we don't got that much going on because again, the reference mixes are live instruments recorded in the 50s and 60s. So like I didn't want to overproduce it so it didn't sound like a vintage recording. And then it was hard, like when I was mixing it, it's like, how much low end do I want? Because a lot of those recordings don't have any low end, but it is a modern song. So I want the bass like to show. So, you know, this is, so there was not much fiddling once I really got the instrument settings correct. So I think we should play this whole thing top to bottom while looking at it here. I did want to talk about, though, briefly the bridge, what I created as the bridge, this part right here.
We'll grow old together, you and I, forever.
This was hard because I originally had it just piano and vocals, which I liked better.
Old together.
I think that's better, but I realized in the game you are allowed to push a shelf while the song is playing, so it was too quiet. It like didn't make any sense that you would be allowed to push it while this part was happening, you see? So I had to like go and fill this part out with some low end so it would be a little more realistic that you could push the shelf. Now for this project, when we, again, if you go to the Nostromo channel and subscribe, that's where I'm going to put the whole thing about the development. And we'll do this again, but we'll be in Unreal for that. But I didn't use Fmod, so I didn't have a way for it to check what part of the song it was at, because we'll look, but Unreal doesn't deal with audio files, long audio files that well. So we'll look at that. But I just wanted to point that out, that this is like really a development reason for this orchestration. Okay, I think we should just play. Should we just play this whole thing? I think we should just play it while we look at it. Let's do it. And I'll scroll up and down and stuff. But I think I've talked about what I wanted to say with this. Again, it took a long time, a lot of finessing to get these things to sound as realistic as I could, because that was, again, the goal. Oh, we added some tambourine here. Yep, there's my tambourine player again, me. A great ensemble of myself. That's the nice part, though, about the MIDI, is what this is called, is that if you hit a wrong note, you can just come in here and move it. So it's quite nice. After you play it in, you can go and correct stuff if you need to. But I tried not to correct too much and like snap it to a grid, because again, I wanted it to sound realistic. That's the name of the game. So if it's too quantized perfectly, it's too robotic, it's not gonna work. So particularly the drums, right? Those fills, like they're all not the same length, you know? And they don't fall exactly in the same place. Like this note was a little bit ahead of the beat. Same with this, you know? So I left the human error in, which I think helped. All right, let's take a look. Oh, and then I have a little record sound. Where is the record sound? Where are you? Is that in the ambient loop? Because I heard it, but where is it? That's the million-dollar question. Vinyl sound effect. There it is. I knew you were in there somewhere. There it is. That's the little needle sound effect. Boom. So let's unmute everything, but we're going to mute the vocal takes, of course. And then we're going to mute my reference mix. I like to put the reference mix. This is like, again, the actual song from my reference list. And so I like to check the mix against that, because like when you work on music so long, your ears become fatigued and you're like, I don't know which way's up. So let's take a look.
subway. The sparks, they couldn't be denied. Oh, my love for you is like a guiding star. I'll find you wherever you are. I see in your eyes what your lips long to say. They're begging me to take you away. So come with me and we can disappear. Don't say you don't want me, baby. He'll be so happy, you'll see. And when they ask us how did we meet, I'll say I swept you right off your feet. I know you can see it now, clear as day. You with me, there's no other way. We'll grow old together, you and I, forever and ever. Oh, don't you see, baby, it's meant to be. We can escape its fate. So, honey, how about a day? I've been watching you for some time. I recognize that lonely look in your eyes. Although we haven't even met yet, I know that you feel it. I know that you feel it. I know that our love is true.
I forgot to mention I do a tempo change here at the end because again I like the drama. So here's the tempo map. And then I also forgot to mention that the ending is the same as the beginning, but it's up a half step. So I do a key change here at the end to B major. So just let me just throw back that. Let me go all the way back down. Yeah, so we do a little thing here where then I move up to get to the 5-1 of B majors. We go up a half step. Again, I don't know if any of the references did that, but I was like, we got to go up a half step for the final verse. Okay, I think that covers the production. Now you're realizing this is the version that's actually not in the game. This is the soundtrack version. The version of the game sounds muffled. So we'll be back for one more piece, which is how I did the versions that you play at the game over screen, and that is in the game itself. So there are a couple in-game versions of the song. We have the actual version that plays in the basement. We have the version that is the game over. When you die, there is a record playing slowly. Then we have a full version of that for the soundtrack. And then the vinyl version is purely for the soundtrack, just because I thought that would be fun. And people seem to like it on Spotify, so I guess it was a good move. I will just say I almost actually cut this song from the game because I was like, is this just too much work? Is anyone going to care? So I'm glad I didn't, because people seem to be enjoying the song. So don't second guess yourself. But yeah, almost totally cut this thing just because it's a lot of work, as you can see. And I had to also make the game. But I'm glad I did because I think it came out really well. Okay, let's talk about the versions. So the first version is the version that plays in the basement. Let's hear it. So what is on this is some pretty gnarly EQ. This is cutting out the high frequencies. If you look at the spectrograph here, the left-hand side is the low frequencies, the right-hand side's the high. So I've cut, this is cutting it because we're bringing it down negative decibels to like nothing. So I'm cutting it out. That's how you get, because low frequencies travel further through walls. So that's why when you're outside a club, like I am, sure not, but if you ever been outside a club, you can hear the bass through it, from the outside, right? So let's hear that. Oh yeah, this is just an audio print of the mix from the other file. So I did not like remix the whole thing for each version because again, I just did not have the time and it seemed unnecessary. So this is just a print of the final version that we just were looking at. So here it is.
I've been watching.
I mean, that already does so much, right? To make it sound like it's in another room, in this case above you. Now, when we look in the Unreal stuff, we'll see how I literally placed it in 3D space above the player, so it also helped sell that it was coming from above you. Okay, then I have another EQ. What I do here, I cut again. I guess this one wasn't enough. I don't know if this actually did anything or if I just... Oh yeah, this didn't appear to be cutting enough. That's interesting. The amount I had all the way up. So anyway, I used 2 EQs. We're also cutting the high. And then I added reverb actually to this. So without the reverb, see if you can tell the difference without. I just realized this whole thing, I turned down the other project, so this whole thing might be a little loud. Let me turn this down. There we go. So yeah, reverb and EQ on this guy. So that's that version. This version is very interesting because this, I added the vinyl crackle, okay? And then this, you can use the, let me just, oh no, I don't want to do it again. Okay, so you can, is this right? Okay, so you can use processing effects on audio files, okay? So what I did is I time stretched this 140%. So I made it slower, okay? So that's the first thing, so check that out. It's slower, right? Then I added the vinyl crackle, right? Because again, this is the one that plays when you are dead. So this one's interesting because this has a lot of stuff on it. So let me turn it all off. We'll go one at a time. Okay. So this is just the raw file slowed down. Let's hear it. See how it sounds weird and artificial? So to cover that, boom. Love this plugin too, not sponsored. Little altar boy to pitch shift it down. Let's hear it. Then reverb. The vinyl pitch warble. Set pretty high. Here it is even higher. Right? Then more cutting the high frequencies again, and then this had just a weird resonance that I cut out, looks like. So the reverb really smooths out that distorted, like, not goodness from it being slowed down. So The version that's in game is only the verse, because the soundtrack version is like 5 minutes long because it's stretched. And I was trying to keep the game files small, and audio files take up a lot of space. So I was like, I don't think anyone's even going to sit at the game over screen for long enough to hear the entire song. So that's just the soundtrack version, right? Is the full version. So the shortened version plays in the game, and then the long version's for the soundtrack. And then the vinyl one was really simple. Added the vinyl crackle. And then I used the vinyl plugin, yay. And so what this does is it does actually the reverse of what we were just talking about. Like, I know it says 1930s here to like what stage of vinyl it wants, but what it's doing is that reverse of the filter that I put in manually. So this is cutting out the low end, because like this kind of old-timey radio crackle vinyl sound doesn't have any bass to it. So it's cut out all the bass frequencies. So listen for the low end difference.
I've been watching you some time. I recognize that lonely look in your eyes, although we haven't even met yet. I know that you feel it too. I know that our love
So, well, I should finish the phrase.
is true.
So that's how I did the versions. So again, I just exported the audio file and then put them in here, and then put the different processing on each track. Okay, that's that. That's the different versions. Okay, we've finally reached the end. Thank you very much for watching. I'm really glad that people seem to be enjoying the song. It's been really nice to see the YouTube comments on the song, people enjoying it, and people seem to be enjoying it on Spotify and such. So it is available on all streaming services if you're not already aware. All these versions. But yeah, thank you for all the kind words about the game or the song, or people have emailed me. It's really nice when something you worked really hard on resonates with people and they seem to really enjoy the song. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope this was educational, interesting. You got to see behind the scenes of the sausage. And yeah, thank you so much for enjoying this song. I'm glad people like it, and it was really fun to write, and I'm happy with how it came out. And yeah, so I might do another deep dive on the main menu music, but there definitely will be a deep dive coming of the game itself. Again, if you subscribe to the Nostromo channel, I'll put the link in the bio, and I will be cracking open Unreal to look at the actual project. That's gonna have to definitely be multi-part, just because it's gonna be a big thing to dive into. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you for listening.